traders and closet swing traders. Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you guys had a great night. Hope you guys are ready for today. It should get wild today. We do have a lot of just Fed meetings. We got a lot of data coming out. I think the first one released was retail today at 9:30. So we will see. But let me get the trading view up as everybody is kind of piling in. Let me get that screen share up and running. It's probably gonna be a wild day. I will say. I think we should get some back and forth. I don't think it's gonna be as crazy as we think, though. It's not like we're raising rates today or anything like that. But yeah, so that's out already. But just based on what Emily posted in Slack earlier today, I think it was like 4 or 5 people from the Fed speaking today. So while they do have the ability to kind of move the market, I don't know necessarily that they would. We should, by at least in this standpoint, already kind of understand where their stance is at on everything. And unless they kind of majorly sway or do something completely different than really expected, I don't know that they're going to affect it as much. There was also, let me pull up Slack. I think there was also a report at 10:30 that could move the markets. Let me just see that one. I forget which one that one was coming out with. 8:30 was the retail. We got 10 a.m. business inventories month over month. Maybe not as huge. 10:30 crude oil inventories. That one will have the ability to move the markets. Obviously, the number one fear last month, or concern, I guess I should say, for people was gas pricing. So crude oil inventories, I think that is a big one that should have the ability to move the markets. Otherwise, 9:30, so right when the market opens, we got FOMC member Bauman speaking. And then 2 p.m. we do have the minutes. 2 p.m. we have the minutes, and then 2:20 we have Bauman speaks again. So I think they're usually hawkish for the most part, I believe. But we'll see. So 9:30, and then 2 o'clock I think is the bigger one. It's not like Jerome Powell is out there speaking today. So 2 p.m. we'll get to see the Fed meetings again. I'm not really expecting anything too crazy wild, but yeah, that would be the biggest one. But there is no Jerome Powell today, so we gave him the day off. He is the one that has the most influence on the market, and I don't think he's talking in August at all, to be fair. So I think he is off for the month, and we don't really see any real changes till September. So we'll go with that. But I do think the crude oil inventories is a decent one, should have some kind of impact on the market, but we will see. Let's see who's in the house. We got Albert Chen. Good morning. We got Bill, Brian. We got Brian again. We got Carolyn, Cedric, D, Daniel. We got D, Doug KK in the house. We got Doug Stevenson. Good morning. Enrico. Good morning. We got Eric, Ernesto. Frank Cousin. Is it like that's your first name and last name? You just combine them together, or is that your full first name? Because that's a wild one. That's a wild one. We got Howard in the house. Good morning. We got Kyle. We got Rich. Woo. Marcus is here. JT, Justin, Quantran. The coolest name I've ever heard in my life. Quantran. Sochi's in the house. Woodshed Williams. We got Vaughn, Tony, Zach, Yesser. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Sky is here. Matt R just piling in. John, we got Joe. Good morning, team. If I missed you, there's so many people in the house. I apologize. It's not intentional, but good morning to you guys. Even if I didn't give you a quick shout out, we got my people up in YouTube land. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. We got Richard Jett. We got Craig. Oof. Anybody else? I can't see you in YouTube, but if you comment, I know you're there, man. Show some love. Hit that like button on YouTube. Subscribe, share with a friend. Help out the algorithm thing. I don't know how it works, but people tell me that's a good thing when people do it. So let's start with the SPY. It is a pretty decent gap down. So yesterday we closed at 429.66. Today we are set right now, this second, if the market opens 425.91. Obviously, we do expect a little bit of a change prior to that, but a pretty significant gap down. I would say this is finally the bearish day. So we did have a gap yesterday, and everything looked like it was a good, like, this is the time we reverse in the market. This looked like the opportunity. That could not be further from the truth. We were just pushing up. We breached to 431 on the SPY. Just massive movements that, again, yeah, I was talking to somebody after, I think in the mentor group, and I'm like, I agree. This thing had the best feel for just, the only thing is that we were coming into slight little volume that could have held it up, but then to just immediately crack through all of that and just skyrocket higher. All right, that was different. But where we're gapping today, we're now breaching. If we open here, we're now breaching 1, 2, 3 levels of VPOC. I still would expect some kind of a bullish out of the gate move. Probably not a big one, but I think we could at least retest, or should retest, 426.53. So going short, that's going to provide probably the best opportunity. And then once we do finally break down, especially once we break down 425.87, which again, this should be a decent hold level, because this is our O level, where if we start to break, you don't really see a lot of volume coming in, but we do have one level of volume that could hold it. Granted, it's not a huge one, especially with the amount of pressure in the bullish direction, and people just like, okay, this might be the time, and we start clearing out. I don't know how strong 423.53, but that would be my first target today. Otherwise, I think probably get back down to 422.22. So I am expecting a little bit more bearish. I don't think we do what we did yesterday, where we open up with a gap down and just rip up. I mean, we'll play the chart. So if anything starts to look a little bit different out there in the markets, we will be there, and we'll make some judgment calls where we see it. But really, I mean, in a longer term picture of things, we could be looking at, this 422 zone is probably where we stop today. I don't see us getting through unless something crazy happens with those 2 p.m. minutes. And then next up, maybe in like a crazy wild bearish day, 419.17. Again, it's just been so bullish, it's going to make it very tough to really commit to the bearish end of things, because every time somebody's been like, okay, this is it, they get their hand burned off from the stove. So we'll be cautious, but I think we get some kind of a retest into 426. If we pass that, then I'll be looking for somewhere in this 427.84, because maybe we do retest a little bit higher and come down. But right now, that's my spot. We'll see what happens from there, and we'll see if we can roll down just a little bit more, another few dollars in the bearish direction. Good morning, Stephen Kim. We got Hector in the house. Woodshed says, oil approaching support, could get another leg up on oil. Yeah, just for now. But we'll see what happens with the that meeting that comes out. What was it, 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Eastern. So obviously that's got the ability to move it and make it a little bit more volatile. But besides that, I do agree. Yep, I'm looking at it on my other screen. Qs. So the Qs, again, pretty decent gap down on the Qs. We are trapping 2 levels of VPOC, right? Plus, obviously, any of the developing VPOCs, but 2 of the locked-in ones at least. So again, look, I would expect some kind of a bullish play. We'll see what happens at open, but I do expect a little bit of bullishness, and not a lot. Probably 326.96 is that retest zone, somewhere in that area at least, and then we should have a first point of resistance or support, I should say, at 328.28. Again, not a huge one, but it should act as a little bit of support. Otherwise, I think Qs could make it down to 326.44 today in a worst case scenario. I mean, worst case scenario could be crazy, but I think that's probably where we start to land, 326.44-ish. So it gives us a decent potential to the downside for right now. Let's see. But again, out of the gate, I'm expecting a little bit of actual bullishness, just buying it up, retracing into some of those support areas, and then kind of rolling from there. Let's take a look at some of the stocks. We got Pat on YouTube. Good morning. We got Tesla. So some of the stocks that we are trading, the 10 EMA on a 3 minute. So we do not qualify by pennies on Tesla. We are still technically inside yesterday's range, but if we're looking at the hourly chart, we had a little bit of a bull trap, to say the least, yesterday. So we did run up past yesterday's high. We got completely shot down. We attempted a little bit of a Harame type setup yesterday, did nothing except bull trap, another bull trap. So it looked like it was about to break. Pretty decent sell off right at that 50%. And where we're gapping today on Tesla is actually underneath where we pretty much, for the most part, got saved. So anybody that said, no, Tesla's definitely target is the moon, any of those guys are trapped. You will see some kind of sell off, I believe, on Tesla. Probably look for, again, we'll see if we get a little bit of bullishness out of the gate. That would take us, I think, a better. The spots that I'm looking for is probably 913.25. Otherwise, if that does break, which it has potential, we might be able to get a short at 919.40. That's really the spot I would like to get. Whether it actually gets there or not, I think there's a decent gap, and I'm not sure that we get up to that 919 zone. I think our best bet is probably looking at about 913.78, but we'll see what happens in the market. Otherwise, targets on this one could get us underneath the $900, which is a nice psychological whole number. That would take us into 897.81 on Tesla, and then probably, if that does break, we'd be looking at 884.83-ish, and eventually I think we do land at 869.74. So having some kind of shorts on Tesla makes sense to me. Again, pretty bearish trap for the bulls, or actually big bull trap for the bulls, and then just really, really big, massive sell-off on the first hourly candle, the attempted save to bring it back, and now we're just gapping under all that. So Tesla does look weak. Again, it does not qualify at this moment for a 10 EMA, so I cannot take it out of the gate. But if we could get some kind of retest in there, that would be fantastic, especially if it's happening at those levels. I have no problem working a 10 EMA on Tesla today in the bearish direction. At least that will be my attempt. We'll see how this thing opens. If we are looking at NVIDIA, again, we are gapping down 2 levels on NVIDIA. So 2 levels of where institutions, at least, or highest volume of the day, getting trapped. Looking for some kind of, at least at the open, all of those, anybody that was considering buys, which we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 green candles on the hourly. So that's a decent amount of people. Pretty much anybody this week so far is trapped on NVIDIA. This one is right now 185.28, so right at this blue line, which is a little bit of support. So again, does this thing just open and drop? I don't think so. I think we actually get a little bit of bullishness at the open. Maybe something similar to yesterday, but I don't think we're making new highs and breaking out for the highs of the day, unless that that Fed notes are incredible. I don't see us just ripping out higher. That would be the only probable cause to make us just jump like crazy. If that is the strength, I mean, that would have to break through support. That would have to be crazy. I'm looking bearish today on NVIDIA. But I think at open, let's be patient. I think this one has to, or should, look for a retest higher and then roll to go short. We got Greg on YouTube during the free week. You were talking about shorting when the Qs hit 333.33. Is there still the idea of a move down over the next little while? Yeah, so Jeremy, I don't know the exact target, but he did edit that target from free week, and I think it was at somebody in the chat pane. If you guys want to just throw it out there, what his number was, but I think he changed it to 335 and change, somewhere in that zone. But that was for because the 100 was still there, so it was still looking strong. And he's like, all right, let's play it into, yeah, Rich says 335 something. So I think it actually missed him. Let's go to the Qs real quick. I think it missed him from his sell everything updated target by pennies. Like, I think it got maybe not pennies, maybe a dollar, something like that. It was somewhere in this range. We got right there, and it just did not go high enough. So he didn't get into his sell everything position. But I did talk to him yesterday. He did buy some more puts just in case we never get to that spot. He's got some coverage, but he's not in his load the boat. I'm shorting everything position yet. But yep, we are still thinking of that. What kind of targets for that? I don't know I don't think he put out targets yet. It's just more of a. I mean, who knows? I mean, going that far out is crazy. Is this where we start to pivot and we have that big recession everybody's asking for? Not asking for. I don't think anybody put it on the wish list, but that people might be expecting. Yes, possibly. This could be the spot, and we roll, we make new lows, and it just looks miserable out there. Could happen. Is this just a natural retest? We get some kind of a pullback. That could be true too. So I don't think we really have targets out there. We kind of have to see how the market develops, but or at least I don't think Jeremy put out targets yet. But yeah, so he did update his entry to 335 and change. I forget the exact to the cent. And I know we got so close yesterday and just missed it. So either way, relatively good call. And today does look a little bit more bearish than bullish. Again, we're gonna have to wait and see as far as how this market actually wants to. Let's see if we could hold anything bearish. We haven't been able to do it yet, but today does look a little bit different to me than previous days. So we will see. Apple. So we got Apple. Let's flip this one to a daily. Just an outstanding run. I mean, if that's our pullback, we had three days of a pullback once. I'll tell my grandkids about that one day. Otherwise, this thing has been absolutely just on a tear. Craziness. We are gapping down slightly, still in yesterday's range. And I don't think we hit recession unless Apple does start to cave. If Apple just does nothing but rip higher all the time, I think it's going to make an actual full-on recession very, very difficult to happen. But we will see. Also, it's safe. Apple is a safe play. I don't know about it at 172. But if we are in a recession, I would expect Apple to survive a recession. Hardly any debt and just lots of cash in the bank. Those are the types of companies that people will go to if we are actually fearing recession, right? So they'll keep their money still kind of working. They'll collect some dividends. Again, at 172, is that the best price? I probably would like to see a little bit of a pullback. This gap on Apple, I probably just would not even play Apple today. In fact, I am not going to play Apple. I don't care how good it looks, just because we have a little bit of decent resistance, 2 days of resistance somewhere right in this 173.08 zone. We tried to breach it a few times. We got pushed right back, but this is very, very strong resistance. And then to the downside, we still have 171.87. So number one, my risk to reward is pretty horrible. Unless I have any inkling that we're going to break this, because the market just looks horrible. We're breaking some other levels. It's the greatest picture perfect setup in the world. I might take a stab at a short, but for the most part, I'm pretty much writing it off the list. I don't think I'm going to play it today. If we do end up breaking this 171.87 zone, we potentially have some room to 160. I'll go 169 just to be safe, but somewhere in that 169 zone. So that would be the play for me. If we were gapping underneath this little VPOC, I'm like, yes, good risk reward there right now. Just chopping sizes. I'm going to pretty much just wait this one out, I think, for today. I'm not as brave as Woodshed is what I'm trying to say. I don't want to jump in front of the choo-choo. Lucia says FOMC minutes released at 2. Yep. Andrew says overall retail sales numbers also came in lower than expected. Yep, and that's helping to drive down the market. But that news already happened, and the market's already reacted. Rich says the exact price for Jeremy for the Qs was $335.56 was the updated. So yeah, he was a $1.50 miss when he was calling it out at I think the Qs were worth $20 a share at that point. He was like, no, $335.56. He was he was in the ballpark for sure. Albert says, does anyone, well, we'll see. I mean, again, we haven't had the pullback yet, so we don't know if that's the top of the cues. Maybe it does pop and the short everything is still in play. But like I said, he was picking up some puts yesterday just in case it was a miss, but just didn't, I don't think did the all in play yet. Does anyone know if we can move chart around like this in TradingView in Thinkorswim? I don't believe so yet. That is annoying to me, especially going back and forth from TradingView to Thinkorswim. You just have to like click on it and highlight it and then it zooms in. But yeah, no, I think. But if anybody knows, Thomas Wong would know. He would be the master to be like, no, you just hit this button. And you're like, oh, all right, got you. Hector says, my tenants might not have rent money, but they got the new iPhones. Yeah, that's valid. That's a valid point. And it doesn't matter how much of the iPhone 27 looks exactly still like iPhone 1 and pretty much does the same thing, but it's the new one. So you got to get it. You got to get it. Not only that, but they got the AirPods, they got the Apple Plus TV, they got 27 other businesses listed under Apple, so they're definitely well set. Why would I not buy Apple on the dip at 129 July 16th? Yeah, well, that hindsight makes it easy for sure. Everyone has there's a ton of comp, but you could have got DraftKings at $10. That's up 100%. You could have got Boeing moved $50, $60. Coinbase was up about 100%. So literally everything has had crazy moves in 2 weeks. Not everything, but I would say a good portion of everything. He's using EMAs for the entry point. Yep. So Thomas, he's asking like, can you move like how we move in the TradingView chart? Can you move that in Thinkorswim? Click on the chart, drag up or down, left, right. Keep it up with the chances. You got it wild. All right, let's get back to it. We got 7 minutes. So we got Delta again. Is this the best spot for this? Is definitely a little. I'm definitely more bearish than bullish on Delta today. I don't think this is the best price. This is giving me about a 1-to-1 risk reward if I just short right at the open. As targets for me would be 34.50, and then to the higher side 35.24s. So again, roughly about 1-to-1 risk reward at open. I don't know how these previous developing VPOCs are going to hold. Again, I would prefer we do actually go a little bit bullish. Again, market is going to ring in 7 minutes and just drop like a fly, and we won't get anything. But what I would prefer and what I'm more than willing to wait for is that this thing does run up. We could get some kind of entry looking for like 30, 35, 34 if we play Delta. And then we will have a decent range. So like this is, if this thing was opening higher in between these two VPOCs, it's the same sentiment as Apple. It's just too tight. I'm not about to play it. But just like on Apple, we have a bigger spread here. We can make something happen. So I'm not taking Delta off the list today. Again, it's not going to qualify for the 10 EMA out of the gate, which is fine with me because I want to wait anyway. Let's take a look at, did we look at NVIDIA yet? I don't believe so. I think I looked at it before I got on the mic, but pre-market, we did look at this one, didn't we? I forget, I'll cover it real quick. But NVIDIA 185.32. So right now we are at that support. Again, if this starts to break that support down, we should have room further down to the downside. But this is opening at a relatively decent support. We did bounce there once. I would love for some buying to come in at open, give us a better opportunity for risk to reward. Let's look at AMD. I could probably take off these fibs since at the time of drawing them, they were very meaningful, but today they're worthless. Kind of like the US dollar. When they came out of that mint, oh man, people liked them. Now they're like, what is this? I can't even buy my own wallet to keep these things in with the amount of dollars I've been printing. All right. Again, kind of mid-range on AMD. I would prefer to be patient, and the 10 EMA will allow us to be patient. Pretty bearish sentiment, though. So, again, just massive. That's a big candle at open. Actually, it was closing below this big bull run on an hourly. We do have a nice little hammer in there as well. And we tried. They attempted to come back up. We did not breach new highs of the day. Started to fade. And where this candle is opening is actually under the bottom, the base of this hammer. Just not the wick yet. So we still have this wick to defend. Again, my sentiment is bearish, but I would love to see us get a little bit higher. Even if that means we get into like the 99.40 zone, maybe we could somehow get into this 99.79. But my sentiment would be to wait it out, see if we go bullish at all. Probably miss everything, but worst case, I'm getting the price I want, and that's all I can really do. What other stocks did we miss or not talk about? We have 4 more minutes left. I think we covered all of, we didn't cover Amazon, did we? Amazon. Amazon's gonna be tough today. Amazon's right now, it's in between a very tight range. So 142 again. It is a bearish gap for sure. I'm worried about this little zone right here, 142.58. If that breaches and breaks, then we do have an okay trade. It's going to be about $1.50 potential profit from the open. I would love to see still a little bit of a bounce, maybe into this 142.96. That should be a decent hold spot for Amazon. And then I'm going to look to go short. But short is my direction until the market changes my mind, which could happen relatively quickly. Who knows? But at least for now, looking at where these gaps are happening, the location is important for everything. And a lot of these are, for the most part, besides Apple, fundamentally kind of breaking down. Apple is still hanging out there relatively strong. Any other tickers that you guys want to throw into the chat pane? We'll take a look real quick. We do have 3 more minutes left. Coinbase. Just to pick a random one, you want to look at Netflix. Coinbase, yeah, it's got a little support it's running into right now. Netflix. Man, that's a beautiful gap on Netflix. If this thing comes back, if this comes back at any point to 246.51, that's a good time to attempt to buy some puts for some time, for a few months out. This gap in general is actually phenomenal. I expect nothing but bearish plays. If we get a little bit of buying, I'd be looking for about 243.29 with shares, with options to give it some additional time. About somewhere in the 246 range would be the time I'd be looking to just pick up a couple puts on Netflix if it gets back there. Otherwise, yeah, definitely 100% bearish. I would love to see a retest on this one. See if we can get back in that 243.29 zone. Shouldn't be too tough. I think we could probably come a little bit higher, 245.44-ish at least, which would be a great risk reward on our trade. But this has a lot of room to the downside too. So the next stop, which we did already kind of retest and push through, 237.13. Otherwise, target for this one would be about 228. So Netflix has potentially about at open, we probably have about $13 downside. Target and PayPal, so TGT. And I think we're running out of time, so we'll have to get to the other ones in a second. Still in Walmart. So Target, nice little gap down on Target. The only problem with this one is we do have support approaching 172.43. That bell is the sound of me having to disconnect from YouTube. Love you guys, but unfortunately at this time I have to leave you. You guys could always join us at reallifetrading.com. We have the all access pass. You could literally hang out with us all day if you want to. That is an option for all you guys. Otherwise, make sure you guys hit the thumbs up, hit the like button, share the content with a friend and or neighbor, especially if you like the neighbor. But I will see